This here is the brand new Adidas CodeChaos 21, which only launched a couple of days ago, so I had to grab a pair, because the original CodeChaos that launched last year were probably Adidas's most popular golf shoes for a very, very long time. And as you can see here, they had a very unique style and design, which wasn't necessarily for everyone. Now with the new version, Adidas could have toned it down. They could have released just a slightly tweaked or amended version, but no. They have launched an entirely different upper, which looks just as bold, if not more so, than the original. So in this video today, I'm going to take a closer look at this brand new Adidas CodeChaos. I'm going to show you this unique upper, and I'm going to give you a close-up look at some of the design details of this shoe. Now, I've also ordered two pairs. I've ordered them in a UK 9 and a 9.5. So I'm going to let you know my initial reaction as to how they fit and feel. But for now, let's jump straight in and take a closer look. Now, the first thing we've got to talk about is this redesigned upper. Now, Adidas have been working for quite a while now with a company called Parlay, and what they do is recycle ocean plastics. And so this upper here is actually made of 75% recycled plastic yarn. So what Adidas are saying also is that there is no virgin polyester used in this upper. So in terms of sustainability and being eco-friendly and being good for the planet, this is a great thing to see from Adidas. In the past, we've seen Adidas use a Primeblue Upper for some of their golf shoes, but they've been special editions. Whereas for the brand new CodeChaos 21, all four of the different color options in the men's version of these shoes use that Primeblue upper. So that's really, really great to see. With a significant part of this upper being made from recycled ocean plastic, you might think in your head that actually it's going to be quite firm and stiff, but that's not necessarily the case with this upper. I would say that it's not really, a super, super soft mesh, but you can see here, you've got a good amount of flexibility in this upper. Adidas are also saying that it is waterproof as well, so I will be really interested to see how this upper gets on when I give it my full waterproof test, and it'll be really interesting to see how breathable this upper is as well, given that it's got those waterproof properties. If we take a closer look at the upper, then actually you can see the different kind of yarn patterns and textures being used in this upper. So you can see if I take a close look here, you've got some darker blues, you've got some purples, and you've got some red threads being used in this upper. And it goes right the way through the shoe there to the back and a little bit on the heel as well. And it's all the same material there. It does feel that there is a little bit more structure right at the end on the toe box there, which is a really good thing in my opinion, because you don't want to have the soft upper right at the very toes. In your golf swing, you could actually, lose some performance, or it might be a little bit uncomfortable. So yeah, you've got a little bit more structure, possibly underneath the upper rather than part of the upper right at the end of the toe there. Another interesting thing as well is you've got these knitted loops there for the laces. So you haven't necessarily got any metal on that shoe there or anything like that, but you've got a little bit of reinforcement. The tongue is actually quite thin, as you can see here, and it's got a bit of padding to it, but it's not necessarily the thickest tongue in the world, and it's not made from that mesh upper. Instead, this feels quite similar to the previous version of the CodeChaos in terms of the upper there. So it's got, I wouldn't necessarily call it a neoprene material, but it's definitely a softer material that's different from the upper. Looking side on from the shoe, then you can also see that you have got these overlays as well. So you might not necessarily notice that from this distance here, but if you look closely, then actually it's two overlays. So on this color version here, you can see you've got a white overlay, and then you've got a blue one underneath as well. Now, Adidas are saying that that's there to give structure to the shoe, which is really, really important when you're out on the golf course. You don't want it necessarily being too soft and flexible. You certainly need a good amount of kind of support and stability on the lateral and medial sides of the shoes there. So it'll be really interesting to see how these perform when I get them out on the course. You've probably noticed as well that you've got this Adidas logo here on the side of the shoe. Now, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of that. When I initially saw it on the photos there, it kind of sticks out a little bit really, and actually literally it sticks out from the side of the shoe because it's padded. So I thought this might be a bit of a plastic padding or something like that, but actually it's a soft material there. You can see here that it's got a fair amount of padding to it, a fair amount of movement, and you've got exactly the same on the heel of the shoe as well. I think it's really interesting what Adidas have done with the overall look and style of this shoe. When I first saw it, I kind of felt that it looked a little bit more like a basketball shoe maybe. Certainly felt that it sits a little bit higher compared to last year's CodeChaos. So if anything, I would say that this one kind of looks a bit more like a tennis shoe, but side by side, I'm not sure. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think? But I'm definitely getting a little bit more of a basketball shoe feel from the new version compared to the previous CodeChaos. Now that being said, it's not necessarily a heavy shoe. If anything, this one probably feels a little bit lighter than last year's version. Now something that was really great with the original CodeChaos was the traction system on the bottom. So they had this kind of chaos pattern, I think they called it, on the bottom of the shoes there. And you can see here that actually to help give a little bit more stability, you had some of that rubber outsole come out on the lateral side as well as the medial side as well there to help you give a little bit more stability with the shoe. And the CodeChaos was a really impressive shoe to use out on the course. It gave plenty of stability and plenty of comfort as well because you have got that full length boost midsole there. Now, if you actually compare it to last year's version, nearly dropped the shoe there, my initial thoughts are they are exactly the same. I don't think they've changed anything there about that traction pattern, and I don't think that's necessarily a problem, you know? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Interestingly, you've got that same plate there in the middle of the bottom of the shoe there. You can just kind of see this plastic plate, again, to give you a little bit more support. All the traction looks like it is in exactly the same places. Something that is different with this new pair of shoes is actually the material being used inside the shoe here. So you can see there, if I hold it nice and closely, you've got what feels to be probably about the same amount of padding compared to the previous version, but it is made from a different material. So you can see here that you've got this kind of soft, plushy material there that's in white on this one. If you take a look and compare it to the original CodeChaos, in the CodeChaos last year, you had a bit more of a mesh material on the inside there, whereas now you've got this kind of softer, fluffier material instead. So it'll be really interesting to see how these wear over time. So I did say at the beginning that I've actually bought 2 pairs of these shoes because I wanted to compare the fit and feel of a 9 and a 9.5. And it's quite interesting actually. In the UK 9, I would say that it gives really great kind of lock in this heel area. My feet really feel part of the shoe and locked in nice and close. But it is very, very tight out here, especially on this lateral part of the toe box there. I could really feel the outside of my little toes and the side of my foot really kind of pushing up against the side of the shoe. When I changed over to the 9.5, then they felt a lot more comfortable to me here in this toe box area. However, there was then a little bit more slipping in the heel. If you're looking for a shoe that's gonna give you a little bit more of a relaxed fit, a little bit more room in that toe box, then I would definitely recommend going up half a size in these. When I went true to size, I would say that my foot was very much like at the limits of the comfort that I would expect from these shoes, and my toe was right the way on the end. That extra half a size just gave me a little bit more comfort, but as I said, I did notice a little bit more slipping at the heel. If I was pushed to say which one I was gonna go with, I'd probably think I'll go with a 9.5 on my initial reactions. But as I said, that's just based on my feet. Everyone's feet out there are different, but I thought I'd just try and share a little bit of helpful information. What I would say is that they are very, very comfortable underfoot, just like the original CodeChaos, and you'd expect them to be really because they seem to be using the exact same sole pattern and midsole design. So that boost foam cushioning right the way from the length of the shoe is very, very comfortable indeed. You can see here it's nice and squishy at the heel of the shoe. You get a good amount of responsiveness. And if you haven't had boost before, then certainly you've got to try it because it is a very, very nice experience when you're out walking on the golf course. If you're interested in the reviews of the latest golf shoes, then why not check out my new review of the brand new Nike Air Zoom Victory Tour 2 golf shoes.